Sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast. I've got a guest this week. I can see he's in the waiting room. No doubt he's reading like a Top Gear magazine from 2004 because that's what every waiting room has. He's a friend of mine. He's a stand-up comedian. He really likes the Power Rangers. He always puts on a great virtual background when he's doing Zooms. Let's see what it is this week. Before I bring him on, let me just plug the Patreon. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast, where you get that wee extra sip that Monday episode that I do with producer Dan. Also, cheers to everyone who liked, shared, whatever the video we put out of the clip last week, TripAdvisor. That will be back next week as a feature for sure. And we'll do some Belfast companies and just see what terrible things people are saying. But let me introduce my guest, my friend, Aaron Butler. Is he there? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, I hate it when I just say his name. And when it just says his name, I get really nervous because I don't know what he's up to. Ah, there he is.
Oh, shit.
I mean, there's a lot going on there. Number one, why is the zip on your jacket just like a little handcuff?
That's just to keep it locked down, baby, just in case anything kicks off. You know what I'm saying?
I think you should be locked up. Never mind locked down, but it's good to...
Who says I'm not? What? Am I locked down or do I have a tag on? Who knows?
I'm enjoying your background. Can you talk us through it?
Yeah, so today's background is brought to you by 1990s Mike Tyson. This was Mike Tyson when he was at the height of his success, you know. You probably can't tell there, but he does have some tigers in the middle. Now, I downloaded this thinking, oh, this will be funny because the tigers are in it. Then put it as the background and realized I'm totally in front of the tigers. So it just looks like I have two Mike Tyson wearing nappies at each side of me. And hey, it's better.
Why was this him at the height of his success? Why did he still wear the most naff-looking pants of all time? Like, Mike, get yourself some silk boxers.
Because when you're that successful, this is what you do.
Yeah, no, not good. Could you see yourself if you became a millionaire through, I was going to say comedy, but more likely some sort of weird porn? Could you see yourself getting a really weird complex like Mike has there?
Hey, I do it now. I don't need the millions to have this weird complex. It comes with the package, baby. So yeah, basically, yeah, I could see myself like that.
Say you made also so weird to have that water bottle. You're like do you know what you're like with that? You look like the sound engineer on Love Island who took that home and told everyone he was on it, but all his mates are like, "No, we know you weren't on it." But
man, look, you got to keep hydrated in these times, okay?
Yeah, that's true. So much I want to talk to you about. But number one, if you did like say you made 10 million, all right,
When?
like next Wednesday, you get 10 million, lockdown ends that day. What would be the first thing you would do with 10 million? Because I'm be honest, because like I think you have like this weird side, like you buy at the minute, and it's fair to say you're not a millionaire, but you buy a lot of like Power Rangers merchandise. A lot of weird stuff, and you're a 31-year-old man. So what would you do with 10 million?
Here's what's funny about the Power Ranger merchandise. I buy that thinking I'm a genius. I'm like, no one is investing in this stuff right now. People, I see it like a stock market. Like people invest in like real things like stock markets and businesses and stuff. I'm like, no, guys, you're missing it. It's all about vintage 90s toys. And one day I'm hoping that'll cash out, but I can't see it happening anytime soon.
So what are you going to do? Just spend your 10 million on Furbies?
no, man. Furbies are see. You don't even know about the toy game, man. Because if you were, you'd know Furbies are a dime a dozen. You can get a Furby on the street for about £5-10. Okay, the Power Ranger helmet, about 60-70. So you got to make smart investments, is what I'm saying.
First of all, don't offer that advice to people because it's not a smart investment for people to buy Power Ranger helmets. But you obviously have some sort of deal with the weird company you buy them from that if you send people onto them, yeah, you get like some sort of deal. Is it Hasbro or is it a guy called Jimmy from Cushion Doll? Like, let's be honest. And also you're like, oh, I bought them for an investment. So you've never worn them, no?
Well, no, here's the thing about investments. As part of the investment, you gotta be a product tester, okay? You gotta make sure that what you're you got like, you're not gonna invest in something that you wouldn't yourself wear. So I just, I put them on a daily basis, make sure they're maintained, clean, they're, you know, usable, all things like that for when I sell them to the next generation.
Yeah, nice. I mean, that's a lot to sort of, it's a
Mm,
lot to take in because I
I know.
think like one one thing that people sort of probably know about you by now is you don't drink
Hmm.
alcohol. Like you've never ever drank alcohol, and I
And
think
this
like
is the result.
no, I think it's the opposite. I think if you bought like if you were into buying Power Rangers merchandise and all that kind of thing, like you do, and also there's stuff that I don't know about. Like if that's the stuff you're telling me about,
Oh,
what's the stuff you're not mentioning? But I
oh,
think
dude.
if you were like a drinker, if you're like once a month, I like to have a couple of beers, it'd be way less weird because you could
Hmm.
be like, I got blitzed there and fucking ordered 13 teeny beanie babies, but you have no excuse because you're always in control of your decisions.
Guys, I had a dose of Calpol there, and now I've got 6 Hot Wheels cars.
And 5 of them are up your bum. Why was there always a weird guy in primary school who put stuff up his ass? And why was it me?
I told I told you about this guy in primary school who I used to pay 50p to spray deodorant in his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, that's very like Joffrey out of Game of Thrones behavior. But yeah,
Yeah,
boy.
yeah,
What
he
happened
was.
to that guy? He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. He fully died. The overdose on
Thanks,
Lynx
Africa.
Africa thing. Yeah.
It's always the go-to deodorant, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but if I had 10 million, do you know what I would do? I think like a lot of people would be like, oh, gonna buy a car, gonna buy a house, I'm gonna fly away on holiday, even though people can't go on holidays at the minute because they can't fly and all. I'd stay in the country and I'd be obnoxious with my money, right? I'd
Hey,
like
you're wearing that
buy.
jacket and, you know, you live with your parents. We know you'd be obnoxious with money.
No, no, I'm a good guy, right? I'm a humble dude. But yeah, I'd maybe just buy like one of those airplanes that can write messages in the sky every day,
Yeah.
and I'd write some sort of cryptic message just to freak people out on the daily.
Right. So if I say I'm in Belfast City Centre and someone's like, look up, there's a plane with a message, what would it say?
It would say, "What happened to Marlon Brando?" Question mark.
Yeah.
And people be like, "Why does it say I'm in the middle of Belfast?" And I'd be like, "You gotta look into
Yeah. Oh, conspiracy theorist guy.
it."
Hey,
Yeah.
one thing I forgot to ask you, which is the number one question when you're on Tea with Me, because you've done a Patreon episode with me before. For Tea with
Mhm.
Me, haven't you?
Maybe it was Boytown. It was. They all blend into one for
No, no,
me
no.
at
I
this
think
point.
I think it was this. So I
Okay.
gotta ask you. No, no, actually, maybe you didn't. I mean, it's totally irrelevant. Far too much time
Yeah.
spent thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, keep thinking about it.
You're not. You're not a tea drinker. Like
No,
anything that you should do,
I
you
don't.
don't do. So
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
people at our age, like I know I
Man.
didn't drink coffee for like what?
Well, no, keep going. Sorry. Ooh. Near let that out.
Tea. You don't drink tea because of course you don't. Of
No.
course you don't. Like you should at our age. The normal thing you should wear. Okay, lockdown's different. I just wear a tracksuit every day. You should wear
Hmm.
jeans quite a lot. Like maybe a nice pair of
Hmm.
chinos. You wear
Hmm.
one of two things: tracksuit bottoms or school trousers. It's
Yeah,
like
and hey,
everything you should. Oh no, school
there
trousers.
you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yep.
You're 31. You're in your own house. You don't have to go to school. It's lockdown, and you're like, look, better get dressed for school.
I first off, not really in my own house, okay? Because if I could take a second to correct you, I'm in my man dad's house
Yeah.
because I'm 31 and have a gold jacket and 3 Power Ranger helmets, and that's what you do. And I also don't drink tea, don't drink alcohol, but yet here I am.
Have
Hey,
you ever drunk tea?
yeah, I've had a few cups here and there, so I actually don't mind it. Like I don't really drink it, but then I take the odd notion where I go, I'd feel like if I'm out and about or something, and if I'm trying to like not be a naughty boy on the hot chocolates, I'll get a wee plain tea.
I like the way you're like, no, I don't drink tea. I just inject it every now and again, just
Yeah,
Tetley infusion.
yeah, IV drips all the way, player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Is there some things you do like totally traditionally and normally? And honestly, I
Mm,
can't think of one. Like you
mm.
drive a fairly normal, nice car. Like that's the only thing. I'm like, why is that a thing? Like you look like a
Yeah, but
guy who would drive a
I
concept
drive
car.
it. I drive it with my eyes closed though.
Yeah, you do, and
I
you always
drive with
have
my
it.
eyes closed.
And you have weird things in your car, like the wee Star Wars bin in the back. I mean, we could spend a long time talking about that, but let's talk about. I want to chat to you about a couple of things. So
Mm-hmm.
it's tea with me. We can't talk in any detail about tea. You have that weird
Mm.
relationship with tea, where like every once in a while. But
And
let's
coffee.
and coffee. But let's talk about. Let's bring it back to if people don't know you on the podcast. I, I've got to take you back to about 11 years ago when
Oh, the golden years, I call
well, I don't call them that, as people will find out.
them.
There was a thing went round on online, and it said that BBC Northern Ireland were making a stand up comedy series called Find Me the Funny,
Mm-hmm.
where they were going to bring over a comedy superstar expert, and he was
Oh,
going to
oh yeah.
develop like a dozen stand ups. And it could be people who've never done stand up before or were currently doing stand up. And you got to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and put on a show. And I saw this and I thought, class, I'm going to do my best to get through this. I probably have a good chance. Been doing stand up a couple of years, young guy with asthma. I'm like, I'm a box ticker, you know what I mean? Like, I'll get in. So I go down to the auditions. It's in BBC Blackstaff. I'm about 21 or something, like real young, but have been doing stand up. The guy who is the comedy superstar judge, everyone thought it was Chris Rock. It was a man called Curtis Matthews, the comedy superstar, and he did McHugh's. They were filming him for the show the night before the auditions in McHugh's. I went on before him. Are you okay? You're cracking out a wee bit there. Oh no,
Oh,
he's
you froze
frozen.
on me, but it's fine. You can keep going. You're all right. I can still hear and see you.
Oh, okay. So the night before the show's auditions, I do stand up with this guy. He doesn't fucking do like a great, like it's fine, but it's not a good set. The cheeky boy goes on after him. The money toe goes on after. Good gig. Good gig. Does a good job. Gets a good reaction. So I think for the show the next day, I'm a cert. I was like, I'm going to get in. I go down, I audition, I get through the first round. Second round, I fuck it up really badly, but I still think I'm going to go through. And the last people to go through. Now, Mickey Bartlett did this show, Sean Hegarty, some people you know that still do stand up. When it gets to me, I think they're making a big deal out of me being the last guy that gets through. I think I'm going to be like the main guy on the show. And I think, oh, God love this wee fella they've got in beside me. Like, he could just be anybody. They just picked someone and they were like, right, we're getting Shane through. Just pick like a guy to stand beside him. So I'm standing beside this guy who's about my age. He's never done stand up before. He's got like wet look gel in his hair, and he's the only guy still just spiking it. You know, like no
Yeah.
one was really
Garth Gates.
spiking it. Yeah, you really had it
Mm-hmm.
spiked. And I
Mm-hmm.
gave you like a wee nod, like, all right, kid. I think I
Mm-hmm.
patted you in the back and said, like, good
Yeah.
hustle, champ.
You said
And
sorry. Yeah.
yeah, I apologized to you. I think I gave you a fiver.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they said, so we're gonna pick the final contestant. And I remember it was like the judge goes, so the last person through is, and I think I winked at you and started walking forward. And they
You went to
said,
shake my hand. Yeah.
yeah, they said Aaron. And I was like, that's weird. My name's Shane, but maybe that's a cool nickname they're giving me. And then I see this like young boy beside me just bound with it. By the way, totally swerves me. There was no handshake. I genuinely thought you and I would have a nice handshake.
I smacked it.
You're away. You were
No.
gone. You were gone. You started crying
Mm-hmm.
as well. Is that true?
That's definitely not true. I remember I think I spat in your face and then
No, you were crying, and then I think you tried to touch my dick. I
yeah,
think you did.
no, I know you're right. I was crying because you did beat the fuck out of me after you took it so
Yeah,
bad for not getting
scratched
through.
your eyes
And
out.
I was like, yeah, you did. You clawed at me. It was a bit vicious. Yeah, I remember all that. I remember vividly. I mean, it feels like it was yesterday. I replay the moment in my head every night before I go to sleep, and I watch the clip on repeat.
Did you think?
Just
By the way,
it's satisfying.
do you have that clip anywhere?
Oh yeah.
Could you send it to me so I can just drop it into the podcast?
Oh yeah, totally. Now, what I will say
To
is
do that.
it's equally as embarrassing for both of us, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, more so me because I squeal like a little girl, but it's absolutely fine. You can throw it in there.
Right. Well, if we can, let's put that clip in right about now.
And at 30 minutes into Monday morning, the last judgment begins. First up, Shane, Breege, Aaron, and Kevin. It's a no for Breege, but which of these three will go through?
I got through. Yes, I got a yes.
But I was there at McHugh's when you did that set and stuff. Did you know I was there?
No.
Yeah,
Were you
so
just doing a bit of scouting?
I'd never been to a live comedy gig before, and I'd never did stand up before, so I thought, oh, I might go down here and just check it out and see what this is all about. So you were on, Paddy McGackie was on,
Mickey?
no, I don't think Mickey was on, Adam Loughlin maybe,
Yeah.
and there was another guy emceeing, maybe Neil was his name, and I'd never seen anyone local do stand-up before, really. I'd never followed the Blame Game. I never followed Give My Headpiece or anything like that. So I was sort of watching it as a first-time person, just being like, what? This is just crazy. This is mad type thing. And then to watch you guys, I was like, flip, these boys must have been doing it like years. And you see like Paddy McGackie and stuff headline, you're like, flip, he must gig all the time.
Yeah.
And then I go to the audition the next day and there's all of you there. And I'm like, hold on a second. So then I started to freak out a wee bit because I was like, oh no, this is meant to be for like people who've did this before. And I started like panicking and stuff. I was like, right, I'm here anyway. I'll just go through and do it. So I went through, did a few terrible jokes. And then what saved me and got me into the next round was doing a Bill Clinton impression that the American guy really, really liked. And then from there on, I just was able to skim on by. And that was it, really.
It was funny because, I mean, not at the time, it was fucking terrible, but
No.
I used to go to all the stand-up nights that they put on. So you were involved with the show for, would it have been like a couple of months, filming like every weekend?
It's about 2 or 3 months, and every weekend it was so strange. Every weekend they'd be like, "Look, we know all of you are coming from different parts of Northern Ireland, so we're going to put you in Elm's student village. You'll have free accommodation every weekend, and you'll all, you stay there. We'll film there, and blah 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 blah." And like I lived in Belfast, so really I didn't need to be there. But I was the first one there all the time just because I was so excited just to be like doing something or like filming something and involved in stuff. You know what I mean?
It was so tough to miss out because so many of my mates were in the show. And
Yeah.
it was like this thing that felt perfect. And then I sickened myself because I used to go to all of them. I mean, I probably would have went anyway, but I was going to the showcase nights she's were putting on. And there was definitely I honestly, I can say this. I always watched you and wanted you to do really badly.
So like today,
Yeah.
11 years, not much
Yeah, and nothing's
changes.
changed. No, it is funny because even if I don't know a stand-up, I do always have that thing of like we're bonded because we're stand-ups. So if I go to a comedy club, I think it's the same for nearly every stand-up. You go to a comedy club, you don't. The only time you want to see someone do badly is if it's just a bad night. You've had a bad one. You want to be able to chat to your mate after and go, "We fucked that up so bad." Like sometimes that's funny, but I just remember those first couple. I think it's because I was like young as well, and I was like pissed off. And I remember I was jealous that you were part of the show because for some reason, because it came down to me and you, like
Mm.
it didn't come down. Like they'd already picked you to go through. I was just the guy I thought you were. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like they were
you
just
were
like,
the lamb, you were the sacrificial lamb.
no, I don't think I was the lamb. I think it was a fucking like a lion
The
guy that they
the
put in.
pawn.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, the Lion King. I think I was, but yeah. I mean that did wear off about 7 months ago. But I just remember, being pissed off that I wasn't part of it. And then
Mm.
even when the program was on, like no one. It's one of those programs I think where it didn't like do anyone any favors, but didn't do anybody any harm. It was just
Yeah.
like as a program. I mean, like there was no one back in the day being like, "Fuck, you got it. This guy's part of this show. You got to see him." I think it was more like you. I don't know what you think, but maybe I think you probably learned more about stand up, but I don't think off the back of it there was much like kickback, or was there? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, I have two different stances on it. I agree with the point you're saying, but then I also would take the stance of you almost benefit more from not being involved in it, because when you get a setback like that, or when you get kicked back, or when you get rejected, it either does two things. It makes you just quit or forget about it, or it makes you work harder and motivates you to be better and improve yourself. And I think that's the attitude you took. And I think I probably would have taken the same attitude if I got rejected in that way as well. But I got through, and then when I got through, the show it went well, but then did a bunch of gigs after it. I just didn't really find my didn't find my comfort zone in stand up at the time, or I didn't find the enjoyment in it per se. And I think the show sort of took that out of it, because it almost was like there was a lot of pressure riding on you, because, oh, you've just been on TV, you just did the Edinburgh Fringe, you did the Ulster Hall, like you're doing all these cool gigs that they're setting up for you. And then when that goes away, you're like, oh, I'm back to just doing whatever.
Yeah, I think, no, I definitely didn't watch it and go, I'm glad I wasn't part of that. I watched it being like, fuck, I wish I was part of that. But the feeling of like being like annoyed at it went away quickly, because I would go to those showcase gigs, like got to know everybody that was on it, the people like you that had never done stand up. I think we got on well, but we weren't like socializing or anything, were we?
Yeah, I don't know. I think just it's one of those things you're almost just sort of you're both doing stand up, and I think you're probably both focused on so many other different things. Like I was focused on uni at the time too, and I was focused on my own friends I was with and socializing and trying to like think what I want to do in life and shit like that. That like you're just like so distracted by everything else.
But I'm just trying to think how we became, because there was a huge time in between where you stopped doing stand up. But then how did we? Because we became really really good friends before you came back to stand up.
Yeah,
So
well, I stayed with FNT, and I think for FNT we sort of gigged together a little bit still,
Yeah.
and we did the Fringe together, and we chatted to each other a wee bit in between that and sort of things. And then I started getting more into the video making side, and then you started getting more into videos too, and we sort of bonded on that in a way, you know. So yeah, it all sort of worked out in some weird, strange way in the end. Like,
Because you took a 7-year break from stand up, which is very dramatic, very, very dramatic,
yeah.
and have come back like a million times. Like I said to you before the coronavirus stuff, like at the time where it all stand up stopped, I think you're the most consistent act on the scene at the minute in terms of like hit rate for having a good show. So the coronavirus must have been annoying for you, because I mean it's an inconvenience for us, Aaron, because of comedy, of course. But
Oh yeah.
it must have been annoying because you were probably in a really good flow of like doing good shows.
Yeah, I had a lot of gigs lined up. We were doing good things. Jokes were landing well. I was preparing to do an hour-long show sort of early next year. And it's one of those things, like, in a way, when it did all go down, I was like, I wasn't overly bummed about the whole stand-up side, because I think people like you and me are very lucky in the fact that we can create content online, and we can write, and we have other avenues to be creative, while some people maybe don't have that.
Yeah.
But it did hit me a little bit this week, because this week I came up with like a new stand-up bit. And like, you know yourself, when you come up with a new bit, you're like, oh, I can't wait to do this on stage. And then you have the realization of, I don't know when I'm doing any of this on stage.
Yeah, I've got a new conspiracy theorist bit of stand-up, and the feeling before was, okay, I've got this bit. Maybe you come up with it on Wednesday morning.
Yes.
Go like, is Lavery's on tonight? I've got no Pugs is on tomorrow night. Is there any weekend gigs? You might be able to try it out 3 times in the space of like 4 or 5 days, and not having that is shit. Talk to me a wee bit about FNT. I know we've talked about this on podcasts and stuff before, but some people won't know or won't put 2 and 2 together. You were part of a sketch group called Friday Night Therapy, which was initially, tell me if I have this wrong, it was pitched as a TV program. So a production company, Jordan at the production company kind of he was working there, and he's like, I'm going to get loads of other performers together. We're going to pitch this like Saturday Night Live, but it wasn't like Saturday Night Live because this was Friday. So it's a totally different night of the week. Guys like all around the same age, Dave Elliott, Diona, Ruth, so many people that are like still doing comedy in some way. You all came together to put on these live sketches and do like video sketches. And I think I remember at the start of that doing one of the stand-up nights for you, like being like the opening act or something. So yeah, we probably reconnected in that way. But the thing that made you like really pop off at the time, and actually, if it had happened now, I think there would have been so much more benefit from it. Not that there wasn't at the time, but because like at the time when this thing happened that we're going to talk about, there wasn't any real video sharing. Like people didn't really share videos, didn't really tag each other, and certainly like videos didn't directly go on Facebook. So you had to search out videos. You did Nordie Shore, which was a parody of Geordie Shore. And that I remember at the time being, I think that and I Am Fighter from Colin were the first two things locally that I saw just blow up numbers wise.
Yeah, I Am Fighter was the original. Like, I mean, I think 2009 is when they kicked off, or when Colin kicked off. When Nordie Shore kicked, I want to say it was maybe 2011, 2012. So it's probably a bit later. But like, yeah, people were still just posting to YouTube. There's no Facebook video. There's no Instagram video, certainly. And yeah, it was one of those things, like people didn't really have access to like mobile phones that had data and stuff like that.
People were still asking Jeeves stuff.
People were asking Jeeves stuff. Yeah. Jeeves was real busy at that point. Now Jeeves is pretty much, he's pension.
Jeeves only works weekends, and it takes ages to find you the thing.
Yeah.
Jeeves, what time's the football on tonight? Give me 2 seconds. And you hear him in the background opening drawers and all, trying to look it up. Oh fuck! Shout out to my man Jeeves.
Rest in peace, wee Jeeves. So yeah, people had to go to YouTube to watch videos, and it still wasn't as popular. But this got like a 250,000 views in like a few days, and we were like, "Whoa, this is serious stuff." And then like I was in uni at the time, and I remember I was in final year at uni, and of course, such an Aaron Butler thing to do. You're gonna love this. My final year of uni, I decided, hey, when I started primary school, I had a Spider-Man school bag. So why don't I finish my final year of school in uni with a Spider-Man school bag? So as if I wasn't an obvious enough outcast in the last year of uni by walking around with a Spider-Man school bag, I went into uni the day after Nordie Shore came out. And not only have I got a Spider-Man school bag, I've now got a whole hallway of university students turn around going, look, there's Sammy from Nordie Shore. And it was just chaos. It was just like, I was handing an assignment and I was walking the halls just being like, oh no, this is really backfired.
I remember the day the video came out and seeing because what you did, which was definitely smart, was made it seem like the program was real. So
yeah,
a lot of those people were obviously watching, being like, fuck me, they're doing Geordie Shore in Belfast. But and it was filmed like very well. Like the talking heads were done really well. And I remember I knew Dave a bit, and I remember just being like, fuck, this is just gonna run and run. I was like, you'll get the TV show out of this. It's just gonna build and build. But do you think the reason that it didn't go, obviously you did, like, was it about 4 episodes?
4 or 5?
Do you think the reason that like it sort of fizzled out after being obviously very, very popular, I don't mean fizzled out, but like, do you think that's because people kind of did think it was real at the start?
Well, that was part of it, and I think the second part is that it did have a fan base, but then when you start, and I think we learned this over the years from all the videos we've done, is that whenever you stop posting content regularly, people just switch off, or they tune into the next thing, or they have a short attention span. So if you're not putting out something like an update every week, they're just like, forget about him. What's next? Who is posting stuff? So we learned that way. That was something that went really against us. And
I'm listening to you talking, being like, it is actually really interesting when you think about it like that. I'm just looking at the double Mike Tyson over your shoulders.
Yeah, having a real serious introspective moment. No, I think we really learned a lot from our experience together. Hey.
Oh man, that's enjoyable. Because I'm just thinking it looks like 2 twins. You know what I mean? Like it looks like 2 guys that
the Tyson
that's
twins.
Fantasy. That's your fantasy.
Oh yeah, 2 Mike Tysons in nappies behind me,
boxing your ring. Sorry, man, go ahead.
let's take a jab to the mouth, or what was that? Yeah. We sort of lost we lost a lot of momentum, and then I think I said to you as well, there's a lot of us involved in that, so trying to get everyone's schedules to align is like just a nightmare, because one person's working, another person has another project, and it just becomes a hassle. But to this day, and even if you ask like Diona and stuff who was in it, like people will still see you in the street and go, I watched you in Nordie Shore. And what's even mad about it now is that there was kids that were watching that were 12, and now they're like 22. And so they've got, they're at gigs, then they've got a whole new lease on it, and they're like, oh my God, Sammy. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is still going. But I enjoy it. I think it's funny, and like, I'm glad people enjoyed it.
2 questions about it. One, I know some people involved like don't want it back out there or whatever, because I can't remember anything specific that you wouldn't want, but I don't know. Do you think if you put it up like with everyone's permission now, just direct to Facebook, it would blow up again just out of like nostalgia purposes?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think if you were to put each episode out on like a week, especially at the minute of lockdown, if you were to do like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like a new episode every day, I think people would go nuts for it. I don't have the episodes, and I wouldn't post them anyway, because obviously I would have to get everyone.
I just mean if everyone was like up for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If everyone give permission and stuff, absolutely. And look, I don't mind, like, so go ahead. But I know people have like actual jobs, and they wouldn't want to be seen anymore. Or they think it's a little bit crass, or that humor's probably dated in terms that way, or maybe things you couldn't get away with.
Remember, was it Ruth that got stuck in Dave? Like that was the same. That was the whole episode. Yeah, I mean, I can totally understand why some people are like, "Hey, I'm trying to get a job as a car salesman here." Do you have any previous experience? I check me out online when I'm physically like, my penis is stuck around a girl's vagina. If you want to check that out.
That wasn't even the worst of it. I think I was in like the worst, like in terms of scenes that would have been bad. But again, I don't really mind, because I'm self-employed anyway. So what are people going to do? Well, who knows? Maybe coronavirus. I'll have to get a job. But either way, there was a scene where I got squirted on by Connell Kelly, who was playing the mother of Dave's character. So she had a real problem down in her uterus, and I got the remains of it on my face. Now it was just water. It's a TV show, obviously. Yeah,
it'd be so weird if you method that, and also Connell's mate.
I mean, I did insist on it, but they weren't having any of it. There was stuff like that was in it, and look, it will forever live in the history as what could have been.
Did you get any like? Were you doing any romancing back in those days off the back of it? Like, were any girls like, oh my God, Sammy, your character's so funny, and you're like, but my name's Aaron in real life, and I have a real groin. You know, were you like DM any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would be out at nightclubs and things at the time, because I was like 22, 23, just sort of, investigating the scene a little bit, just keeping my toe in the waters per se. You'd get the odd girl to be like, oh my God, Sammy, but then the quality of girl that was saying that was not maybe, up to my standard per se. And they were also
she was
a man. Yeah, but also very highly intoxicated, and and I don't drink, and there's nothing more inconvenient than when you're trying to talk to a girl and she's just like, she can't form a sentence together apart from, oh my God, you're Sammy, take a photo.
Why does she have that voice? Why does she sound like a male darts player from the Shankill? All right, Sammy, take that photo. Watch out for my dick here.
All I know is he was wearing a dress, and that qualifies to me as a pickup.
Take a selfie of me and you, but don't get my big balls in it.
I was thinking of a stand-up bit related to that, or sort of related to that, but I was thinking, do you know what girls say to their girlfriends when they wear like real provocative dresses and they've got like cleavage and stuff out? They're like, here, will you keep an eye out, make sure I don't pop out? Like, can you imagine fellas said that to each other? Like, mate, will you make sure my dick isn't falling out of these jeans? Mate, keep an eye on my fucking packer here, will you?
What about guys just showing a wee bit of dick at the top? Like cleavage? Like, why does nobody do that?
Dick cleavage?
I'm just showing a wee bit of base.
Like that, do you?
Oh, Dick Cleavage. Dick Cleavage sounds like a guy who played for Barnsley back in the day.
Sounds like a detective. And a good one.
So, for God's sake, somebody called Dick Cleavage.
There's only one man. Dick Cleavage here. Oh dear, but yeah. So I've been look. This is the material that people are missing out on because we can't get out. This is the highbrow stuff.
Dick Cleavage gets two young cops working for him. They show up. They're two idiots, and he's like, "Don't you guys think I see enough tits?" Before we move on, should we put Belfast Blues out from Monday, just every night? Again?
We can do just each individual episode.
Yeah, you think we should? One night after the other?
I'm totally game. Why not? I mean, there's not much else happening at the minute, so go for it. I also thought of the idea of just putting out the big 20-minute cut that has all of them in the one video, but I don't know. Maybe it's better to do one at a time.
Both would probably be good. We'll do one of them.
Yeah, well, either way, people will get their fill of it.
We'll figure it out. I've got some listeners' questions. I don't know how many because I put it up about 7 minutes ago before we started, but let's see what's happening.
Cool.
I opened TikTok by mistake there. You're doing a lot of TikToks at the minute. You and me were both like, oh, we'll just get TikTok for a laugh. And then I looked at yours and I was like, I wouldn't call that a laugh. I would say he's very, very into that.
Yeah, here's what happened to me on TikTok. Like, I got it originally going, this is going to be one of those shitty apps that I'm going to delete after about a month. And then one of my TikToks, like, ticked off. And I ended up getting, like, 60,000 views on it. And I was like, oh, shit. And then, like, I got a bunch of followers out of it. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to have to start making stuff for this now.
So, do you ever get a WhatsApp for somebody whose number you don't recognize? And they're sent you something.
That sounds a bit suspect.
I don't understand. Okay, so we have some questions. Yeah, thank God we've got two, which is good.
That's all we need.
Short notice. Craig Yates says, if you both could have tea with Mr. Boris, and he would let you pitch a new law each, what would they be? So if we were lawmakers, I mean, I would say people go like, oh, the justice system. See, a justice system, it's a fucking joke. But then again, you don't want to enforce more years in prison for something, and then you like wrongfully get done for like tax fraud, and you've been the one to make the sentences for that way longer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would do that. I'd so mug myself off like that.
Yeah, I would, if I had the chance, I would give conspiracy theorists like 2 hours a week just to like dump all their stuff, and they're allowed to like, you know, say, and then after that, cut. That's it. That's all you get. Just a week. Just so they can get it out of their system. And then once it's out of their system, the train keeps rolling.
Have you braided one bit of the front of your head?
Nah, man, I don't know what's going on with this fucking thing. Like, it's fucking...
I'm noticing a couple of greys on my own. Are you getting any greys?
Oh, yeah, like one or two. You probably can't see them on the camera, but I haven't got a lot. Like...
Yeah, I'm at this thing where, like, we've chatted about this in the last couple of weeks, where I go, I'm just going to grow my hair long. Like, even after lockdown, I'm going to grow it. It's coming through a wee bit at the back and stuff. But then I think, will I do that? Or the second barbers are open, will I go in and go, cut my hair back to normal?
Yeah, at the minute I'm growing it, but as soon as barbers open, it's back to normal, really. Yeah, because, well, maybe, who knows what it'll look like in another 6 months or whatever when the barbers open again, but I'm at the minute, I'm very much set on getting back to normal. I would like you to grow it, and then whenever you go to the barber, get it cut back to normal, but tell them to leave the back, and I want you to start growing a long ponytail just out that back bit.
Me walking out of the waterfront. In a leather suit. For some reason, I've got a leather suit on.
Yeah. Your baby's born and you go, grab onto that, I'll get him out. Zzz, zzz. Doctor's having troubles.
Big Daddy Rat Tail. I don't know what to do about. I like the top of my hair, right? It's great.
Yeah.
I like the volume. I actually conditioned it for the first time today, right? So it looks fucking sweet.
Is it soft? Is it nice and soft?
So soft.
I love a good hair condition. It's nice.
But what do I do about the back and sides? Because the sides are starting to grow and this is happening.
Yeah. My ears are, hold on if I can, yeah, it's just.
But you're okay because you've kind of got past that point where it's all right because you don't just have that little bit that hits. So I'm going, do I just keep cutting like round my ears, or do I let that go so that I can sweep it over the ears?
I mean, I'm not a hair consultant of any kind per
No,
se. I'm
definitely
not a I'm probably the last guy you should take this advice from, but I'm gonna say grow it.
Grow it.
Yeah. I wouldn't do you dirty like that.
Ronan Kerrigan says, who's the real legit gangster between you two?
Well, in terms of like crimes and criminal activity, I'd say I'm up there. Like,
Yeah. Also, I
you
don't know
know,
if either of us could be described as legit gangsters, although who's more like, I mean, out of us, who's more likely to join a gang?
what sort of gang?
Like if you were in prison, would you try and be like a lone wolf, or would you like get in with some fellas that are in a gang for protection and stuff?
Well, technically, the T-Birds are a gang who are also the guys from the movie Grease. So if it was that sort of gang,
I like the thought of you walking into jail, like a real jail, like McGabry, and going, "Hey, where's all the T-Birds?" And then they would just mercilessly beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm trying to sing through it. Oh well, oh well, oh well. Yeah. So yeah, I think if we go into jail, imagine we went into jail together, like Step Brothers.
Hey, let's do
Sitcom.
it.
The next YouTube video.
And we do it for real. We just put like, hidden cameras on us. I mean, I think if you and I went into jail, right? I think the number one thing would be try and be the court jester, try and be like the funniest guy, and like don't be afraid to mug people off, but just be this like
the risky game.
I just think if you go in and you're like obviously not threatening, right? Which we aren't. I think I think you get known as like the funny man who like will trade insults with you, but he's like he knows his place. You know what I mean? So you want to be like the main guys are like fucking give us a laugh here, and you're like that on pancake head, and their attitude is if anybody else said that, yeah, fucking, I think we could leverage ourselves to being like almost a funny guy. Like I think I remember watching this program once, and it was definitely fictional, but there was a guy in the jail who used to do football commentary at nights for all the inmates. He used to just shout out and pretend the full matches were going on, and like people left him alone because he could do that. I don't know if that would happen in real life. What would probably happen is it'd be my first night in jail, and I climb up to the wee thing on the wall and be like, we're just kicking off here for this game, and somebody go, shut the fuck up, dickhead, and I go, okay, and that would probably be it. But I don't know, like you dance quite a bit, so maybe is that something you would consider doing just to entertain the troops?
Like what if I put on like a full musical production where I cast people and stuff, and like inmates start getting upset because they're not getting the main roles and stuff? I'm like, look, Francis, next time you just got to work on your high C, dude, okay? And he's all like, all right. Yeah, I think if we do go into jail together, though, we should make some sort of agreement where we go in and the first thing we do is we look at everyone and go, we're fucking each other, sorry. Like, so like that makes us off limits for anyone else to try get with us.
So you think just us being like, here, we're pretty serious, do you think that makes the guys in jail go, I'll leave it then, no worries? You think if they see true love, they'll be like, oh, I respect that in a way?
Yeah, they don't want to, step on another brother's, piece. You know what I mean? They would.
What if you're more into it than them? What if you psych them out? Guys like, wait till I get you in the showers, and you're like, race you. Would they be like, oh fuck, he's coming on too strong? Is there something you could? Is there something you could do there where a guy's like, pick up that soap, and I go, fuck the soap. You're like, nah, don't even worry about it. Like, or, do you just go in and go, oh, here am I chomping on first? Would they be a bit like, oh, fuck?
Yeah, so if you're overly sexually aggressive, it's like a reverse psychology thing where they go, oh fuck, he's a freak, no way.
Yeah, because maybe they want you to be like, oh, in jail, but maybe you just straight up be like, listen, I don't know. I only have 4 months in here. I don't know if I'm getting through all you guys, but all I will say is
I'm going to try.
I'm going to give it my best go. Would they be like, oh, no, it's fine, mate, don't worry. Not my type.
But also, how shit would it be when it totally backfires and you come in and go, who wants a bit? And they all go, me. And each one of them just form a fucking train on your arse.
what about if you just like the way people really enjoy like a secret? What if you just go in and go? What if you walk in like this? Oh, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And you go, I have a secret. And they go, well, fucking tell us it. And then you go, I'll tell you tomorrow. Just keep saying, I'll tell you tomorrow. It's a big juicy secret. And then just do that until the end of your sentence. And then the day you're leaving, go, I didn't have anything. I think that would be good to string guys along. Be like, listen, if you do anything to me, you're not going to find out what it is. Maybe that would be something. Just try and keep like a secret.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing guys in jail really respect more than
Big
couples, it's just a big secret that they have to just find out at some point whenever they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Just before you came on, I was like, this might be a fun thing to do. You and I are '90s kids, all right? We're just
big
like
time.
straight up boys from the '90s.
Yep.
Tamagotchis, Furbies, all of that.
Nickelodeon.
I looked up. Who's he? I looked up 20 things that people say they miss from the '90s. You and I should just go through it and see, are these things that we do miss or not, or did we ever have these things? Number
All
20,
right.
oversized denim. Chat to me.
Well, I mean, most of my clothing didn't really fit because, I was one, and it was the classic story of when you're growing up and your mom's like, "Here, you'll grow into that." But what happened
Per
was,
top.
yeah, I'm still, I still wear it to this day. It doesn't fit
You're
still,
wearing a jacket.
but yeah, oh yeah, big time. But yeah, and you would wear the clothes and they'd be too big for you. But then by the time you grew into it, it was already washed done and you'd wore it loads.
And it was
so
out
they
of
bought you
fashion.
new clothes. And it was out of fashion. So yeah, I don't know if I miss it, but I remember it.
So oversized denim was definitely a thing. Like skinny jeans and stuff, or I still see them as relatively new. Like
Yes.
boot cut was a terrible look, but back in the day, you thought it was
Mm-hmm.
class. I
Mm-hmm.
remember, speaking of oversized things, hand stuff down. My three cousins passed this jumper down. You will love this. So my cousin Denise is the oldest, and she had this Michael Jackson jumper. I know you're a big MJ fan.
Where is it?
She had this dark blue Michael Jackson jumper, and it was that long ago that MJ was just straight up black, right? So it was like
Oh wow.
it was black Michael Jackson with the hair, and it said, I'm pretty sure it said Michael Jackson like down the side of it, like the letters on top of each other. Michael Jackson down the side. Honestly, if you had it still now, it would sell in a retro shop or on eBay for so much. It was real vintage. And she had this jacket. I remember at the time being like, oh, that's really cool. Like Michael Jackson was class. And then there's not that much in between her sister and then her younger sister. So she gave it to her sister Leanne. And Leanne was wearing it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a jumper, because we all pass stuff down, right? But I was an only child, so I never really had this. Like you would get stuff from maybe another cousin or a neighbor or whatever. But by the time this particular jumper hit their youngest sister Lisa, Michael Jackson looked like, the guy from the Green Mile.
Which one? There was a lot
How
of
you doing,
guys.
boss? My name's John Coffey.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Like Michael did not look well because he'd faded.
No.
Like the hair had faded off him, and he kind of like it had maybe stretched a bit because of the wash. It had melted, so Michael just did not like. Trying to think, who did he look like? Like Michael looked a bit like, I don't know if you know the football pundit Garth. In fact, he looked a bit like Mike Tyson behind you, and it just wasn't like Mike looked like he'd been through a war. And I just enjoy though that it was still passed down, and there was still something about that. Like I missed out on that. Like I never got stuff handed down, but I did have some really rare stuff. Like oversized denim was not sweet. I had before we were going on holiday one year, my mum said like you can get a wee holiday outfit for wearing on the plane.
I like that.
I'd never had this before, so I was like, unreal. I had a silk short sleeve shirt from Top Man, which was blue and white, like faded stripe, like they would blend into each other. Do you know what I mean? Like stripes. And on the shoulder there was on the sleeve there was barbed wire. Right. So it was sweet. And I said, oh, I get to get something else. I got, in some shop we were in, there was a sale, and I got a pair of FC UK, which you thought you were fucking mad wearing it because it said FC UK. I got FC UK jeans, a matching denim jacket, and I wore them with a silk shirt on a plane on holiday whenever I was about 13. And I thought, it's never going to get better than this. I was like, I am killing it. And a pair of white Sergio Tacchini trainers. It was the best look I ever had.
What age were you?
No, it was last year.
Okay, yeah, it sounds about right.
No, I think it was about 12.
Yeah,
11 or 12. And to match with that silk shirt, I had blue tinted glasses.
What's funny is you were 12 or 13 or whatever, and that's in the early 2000s.
Hey man, don't worry about it. But look,
yeah.
another thing people apparently miss is curtains. Did you ever have curtains? I feel like you probably did.
You mean the haircut or the...
No,
Yeah.
I mean like the fabric. Yes, of course.
In your house? Man,
Was that a 90s fad I missed? Just guys going about the street. Peekaboo!
For a minute I was going, fuck, is it like, have people moved on from house curtains? Is there some sort of futuristic blind that my house doesn't have? And now I look like a tramp because I still have curtains in my house. I was freaking out.
The butlers, the prehistoric butlers with their curtains.
No, I never had the curtains haircut, funny enough.
No, neither did I. I think I wanted it, but I never would let it grow that long because you had to commit to it. And like
the bold cut.
The thing with curtains, though, I was going to say, like, if it was windy and the curtains messed up, like, unless the curtains were sitting perfect, they looked shit unless they were perfect. But everyone I know that had curtains really, really was into it. Do you know how they style it? Like the process of it?
You just put a bowl on someone's head, don't you?
Well, yeah, that's to cut it. But I remember seeing my mate Sean actually do his curtains, and they would put loads of gel on, slick it all back, right? So it was like fully slicked back, all straight, and then part it. Because I always thought it was just like you just go at it with your hands, but there was a process to it. And I remember watching that and going, I've never had the intricacy to be able to do this. Goosebumps books. One of the coolest things about Goosebumps books was you could feel the outside of the book.
The cover was all
bubble.
bubbly.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Did you ever do book club at school where like there was some weird catalogue and you could order books out of it? Why was that the most exciting thing ever?
And why did it just happen out of nowhere? Like one day, nothing was happening, and then you went in and they were like, "It's book club day," and you're like, "What?" And
you go,
it's
what does this mean? And someone brings around a catalogue and you put in your wee order, you're allowed 2 books or something. And then what about you totally forget that you've ordered the books, and 7 months later someone comes around class with a wee plastic bag and there's 2 books in it, and you're like, fuck, I didn't even know I ordered these.
It's like the early Amazon days.
Oh, Prime, yeah, it'll come in 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, book clubs were fun. I miss those.
Oh, book club. I mean, no, you've got Amazon, like.
No, I want the book club back.
Book club was fun. Yeah, it was really fun. And yeah, I don't know what the reason for it was, but Goosebumps books were great because, and the one I'm looking at in this picture, I actually had that one. There was always kids. There was richer kids always had like every Goosebumps book, and for some reason they'd like bring them out, like into the street.
Weird,
just like walking library kind of guys.
Showcasing it.
Yeah, Goosebumps books were brilliant. An iMac. So I remember seeing iMacs maybe in school, but I remember thinking I would never have one of those.
Yes, same here. I remember we didn't even have them in school. I remember we had some sort of old thing, but it wasn't. I don't think it was a MacBook like that was the early days.
You didn't call them iMacs, so
Macintosh.
Yeah, Macintosh. Yeah. I remember the school library got one in Strandtown, and everyone popped like a wee bit of a hard on. Everyone's like, "Oh my god," because that was like you were just getting them there, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" But I don't think anyone got to go on it.
Yeah, no one knew how to use them either. It's like, what do you do on? And you're like, you go on the internet on, and they're like, what's the internet? And you're like, I know. No one knew.
A beeper. So a beeper was like a pager, I guess. Pager. Doctors used to have them, and then people. So describe to me what a beeper is. Do you get a call to? Is it an alert you get to go and phone someone?
No. So it's almost like a text message in your pocket. So it was like before text messaging, there was like pagers. So you would page like a message to someone and it would like tell you, but it was real basic stuff. It was something like, hello, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't anything intricate. Like,
Right. No, I
There's
never.
no emojis.
But yeah, because it's funny because you always associate like in ER, the TV program, they had them always on their hips, and then you
Yeah,
would
yeah.
see some fucking nerd walking with the playground at age 8 with a beeper on, being like, "Hold on, they're calling me here." What? Who? Your mum and dad telling your fucking crispy pancakes are ready? Sorry, guys, got to take this.
Yeah.
Getting scrubbed up to go and get your crispy pancakes. An AOL account. I didn't have an AOL account. What about a chain wallet? I could see you walking about with a chain wallet. You know, like it would attach to your belt, and then you used to hang the chain down a wee bit. That was a pretty sweet look for a while.
Yeah, it was a lot of the gothics and emo kids sort of had those, but I never had one.
You said that like you're so sad. I know what I'm buying you as soon as lockdown's over.
Yeah, I almost want to hang up, right? I just go straight to Amazon.
Number 6 on this list here is Magic Eyes. Yeah, do you remember that book that was like all optical illusions and all, and you 1,000% would. You remember there was like a book of things, and if you stared at it
I
for like
can't.
30 seconds, it turned into like something else. You started seeing like something. You know
I
what I'm
remember.
talking about?
I've seen the meme of it, but I didn't know it was a book.
I remember it was a book, and only like strange kids had it, but it was always fun. Um, Doc Martens. I'm going to presume neither of us had Doc Martens.
No, we were too young for Doc Martens, I'd say.
A Tamagotchi. Did you
Yep,
have a Tamagotchi? I had a Tamagotchi.
I had several, I think.
At once, were you running like a farm?
Yeah, I was running like a bit of a trafficking scheme, so it was with the Tamagotchis. I was building them up and training them to other kids on the playground who didn't want to look after the kids.
This is so me, right? But I remember Tamagotchis got banned in our school because everyone was just playing
Yep.
with them in class. And I was in P7, Miss MacArthur, Strontown Primary School. They said like tomorrow you're not allowed to bring in your Tamagotchis. And I remember feeding my Tamagotchi at breakfast in the house. Tamagotchis, by the way, were like wee tiny plastic pods, and you
Hmm.
had like a wee virtual pet that needed fed, cleaned, and it needed to go to sleep, and you controlled it all. And it was It was prep for owning a proper pet, but none of us should have been allowed pets because everyone's Tamagotchi died. And
Yes.
I remember, yeah, the day you weren't allowed to bring them in, I had mine at breakfast in the house, and then I put it away, or so I thought. And I was in school, and someone's Tamagotchi was beeping, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're not allowed those." And I was the instigator. I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Miss, find out who has that now and get them in trouble." I was like, "No," because we were all told yesterday and all, like, you're not allowed it. So, Miss, find out who it is, Miss, and scratch your eyes, Miss, or I'll do it even and all. And Miss MacArthur started walking around, and she was like, "Somebody has a Tamagotchi." And we all started like working out where it was, and you'd hear a beep, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's this side of the room, it's this side of the room." And I remember being like, the girl beside me, I was like, "It's definitely her." And I was like, "But she's not saying anything." And I was like, "It's you, isn't it?" And she's like, "It's not me." Hey, guess who it was? This
Yeah.
guy right here.
But of course. And has anything really changed since then?
No,
Still,
no.
still
And
the
I was
same.
like, when they found out it was me, I was like, "No, but no, because no, here, no, if listen, I wouldn't have been saying, and all you should all be getting expelled if it had been me, because why would I be saying that about myself?" And then I think I just spat in somebody's face and ran out and said, "I hate you all," or something. I can't remember, but it was something like that. The number one thing, and to wrap
Uh,
it up on this, is a Sony Discman
oh
CD
yeah.
player. I had one for a while, but I didn't enjoy it compared to the tape player because at the slightest shake, it used to skip. The CD used to skip.
Yeah, I remember that. I just, yeah, I have fond memories of it. I remember the wee headphones you used to get with it. Used to feel real soft on your ears and stuff. Used to feel a wee bit weird because you used to scratch at you a wee bit. But yeah, I remember those.
What about whenever you had a tape player like a Sony Walkman, and when your battery was running out, it used to slow down? So, it'd be Eminem like "I'm Slim Shady," and eventually it'd be like "I'm Slim Shady."
Yeah.
And you used to say to yourself, "It sounds better like this."
Yeah, you're still listening to it a minute later. You're like, oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's still playing the song at least.
Oh man,
Yeah,
the 90s
the
were fucking
90s.
great. They were
Ah,
great. We
great
need to do
times
that
to be
film
had.
thing I've been talking about for years, set in the 90s when this is all over.
Yeah, when we can look, let's just do it on green screen. That's what we're doing for everything now, anyway.
Yeah, we're going to have a sketch out today because this podcast goes out tomorrow from when we're recording it. So hopefully
Sweet.
today we have a sketch out, hopefully, of
Hmm.
me and Aaron called Sunset Heights, and we're going to do more of those. I need to pee
Yep.
so bad, so I'm going to wrap up the pod by saying thanks very much Aaron Butler. Aaron, people want to see your stuff online, your TikToks, your Instagrams, your Ask Jeeves. How do they do that?
All my Instagram and social media handles and all the rest of it are just Aaron Butler Online. So everything Aaron Butler Online. Follow those and you'll find me. So thanks very much.
All right, bro. While you're here, stick about for me saying that. I want you to freeze frame like that. I'm just going to say this. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. Yeah, perfect. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. I'm going to see how long I can do this for. If you want to sign up and support the podcast, you can make a we monthly donation and you get the bonus podcast and loads of other perks and bonuses. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. I'll be back on Wednesday with either a guest episode or a solo episode, and then Friday, and that's how we just keep doing it. We keep rolling. If you want to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and rate and review the podcast, I'd really appreciate that. Thanks very much, Aaron Butler. Sip. You all good, man?
Yeah. I'm good. Thanks very much.